Hi, this is Allison Waken for Studio Calico. Today I'm sharing a couple of techniques with you that I used in this handbook album spread. The techniques can really be used for any project. First, I'm going to start off with the map page that's on the left. I just did a screenshot in Google, pulled it into Photoshop and sized it to 6 by 8. I'm using the full 6 by 8 size for this map. And I think it's kind of fun to include a map. It can either be for a road trip or it could be just maybe your regular route to work or to school or to your favorite store or anything like that. It doesn't have to be a special trip. That just happens to be what this is. I have a handbook of special trips that we take. So I sized this to 6 by 8 and just printed it out on regular cardstock on my home computer. And you can see that the road is kind of small, but I really wanted to get an area, a range of kind of where we live to where the drive was. So here are some of the things that I've pulled out to create my layout. I've already printed the photos, but I wanted to show first doing this left page, which is the 6 by 8 page. And I printed it out on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock, so it does need to get trimmed down a little bit. And I like printing these at home because I wanted to embellish it with stitching, and it's just a little bit easier on cardstock than photo paper because of the amount of stitching that I'm doing. So I'm actually just going to stitch the route that we take to drive. And I'm using this paper piercer that came with an Amy Tangerine stitching template, and I am just going to pierce holes along that route, and I'm going to make a new hole wherever the road or the route might turn a little bit so that the stitching follows the route. So you can have as many or as little few holes as you need. It just kind of depends on how many twists and turns there are in that route. I chose yellow to highlight my route. Obviously any color is good. Red would have been fun too, I just didn't have any. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch my entire route. Don't worry, I won't show you me stitching the whole thing. Usually I'm stitching while watching TV and not over a table, so it was kind of weird to be bending over it and stitching it. So I'll just show you kind of a little bit of that. Once I'm done with the stitching, I embellished the page just a little bit. I wasn't sure how much I wanted to add at this point. I kind of just went with how it looked when it was done. I had gotten out some things to maybe embellish the corner, but I decided that I didn't really want a whole lot going on. So I included this little house and the rub-ons from the January Studio Calico add-ons. And I'm just putting this geotag at the end point, the house at our starting point. Just thought it was kind of a fun way to show this route that we took so many times last year. So I just added a little frame to the corner and called it good. I didn't feel like it needed any more. So I'm going to show you how to make this card, this picture perfect photo card, using the stamp, the digital stamp. What I do when I use any digital stamps is I do it on a new layer. This allows you to adjust the size and the placement of the stamp as opposed to just stamping it straight on your background layer. So I made a new layer. I'm resizing the stamp just using the quick key on the keyboard. And at this point, I had already known that I wanted the stamp to be two different, I wanted to move the words around a little bit. And there's so many ways you can do that, but I chose just to stamp the whole stamp, adjust the opacity to where I wanted it to be, and then I actually just chose the rectangle selection marquee tool and selected the first word, picture, and then selected my arrow tool and just pulled it up a little bit. I could have made them two different layers. There's a bunch of different things I could have done. That was just quick and easy since I just needed to move it up a little bit. And then I'm just adjusting the opacity of that top layer, which is the layer with my stamp on it. and it's done. Flatten the image and it can go to print with the rest of my photos that I have printed at Target. So here's the finished card. Didn't add anything to it. It's already done. And then I have 2 other cards that I wanted to put on the top. I just stapled them to the cards that I had ready to go. There's a little stamp on that top right one as well that I had added. My process for embellishing cards is kind of just to mess around with the little bits and pieces until I like it. I mean, there's no really rhyme or reason for how I do a lot of things other than, you know, what looks good. So you'll see I have one card embellished more than the other, and I tend to do that a lot. I like a little space and movement. And the backs of the cards sometimes have just a plain grid. And if I want to do journaling, you'll notice that I don't do a lot on the front of my spreads. I don't know if it's I don't like my handwriting or what it is, but I just don't like to include a ton. So when there is a story that I want to be told, I will go ahead and include it on the back. And there's a little note at the beginning of my album that says that some of the cards may have journaling on the back. That way, if, you know, years down the road and I'm not here anymore and someone's looking at it, they'll know that there may be journaling or dates or a note or something on the back of the cards. Kind of a fun little secret way to journal and add a story if you wanted to make sure that a story got told. So the cards just go in, and I don't attach them anyway. If for some reason that card had a lot of embellishments and I was afraid that it was going to move around and fall out, I would just include a paper clip on the top instead of stapling it like I do sometimes, so that the paper clip could be taken out and the card be taken out so that you could see the journaling on the back. And that's it. Feel free to ask any questions that you may have and visit studiocalico.com for more inspiration.